Can I hear a fucking cat? Well, it's not mine. Mine's dead. Hold on. Fuck. Sirius's Cozy Corner. Woo! Great start to this video. Hi, what's up? It's Sirius, and welcome to episode 1 of Sirius's Cozy Corner, because I couldn't come up with a more fucking creative name. Yeah, a lot of stuff's been happening in my life, so I haven't really been posting. I think I posted like 1 video this year so far, and it was a study with me, cozy as that is, but I wanted to get real. I wanted to get in the soul where I am. So I wanted to do this thing where it's kind of like very podcasty, very chit chat, you know, not like no pressure, just chill. Whatever I want to talk about. Here I can talk about anything, everything, all things, big and small. Lovely. You are currently balancing on a lot of books with Mockingjay right at the top, which I think is very appropriate for the political environment, don't you? That is one thing I honestly don't want to talk about, and that's politics. If you've never been here before, welcome to the hellscape that is this channel. So yeah, I was thinking I wanted to start off this whole podcasty thing with a topic that was very meaningful. Even though I pretty much just joke my way through everything, I still want to talk about something that is relevant and meaningful to me, especially for the first time I'm doing this. So I thought, what's a spirit lifter? Anxiety. The dreaded ray of fear. The awful, cataclysmic bomb that we all fucking hate. Sorry, I had to take a quick pause because my phone ran out of storage. I do have my camera with me. It's running out of charge and I cannot be asked to charge it. Anyway, so as I was saying, anxiety is something that you can have it quite mildly, or it can be literally life-altering. I would know, I am one of those people, and I have not wanted to make a video about it at all until I was sure I could and actually pass on some useful advice and maybe help some people, because I'm like, until I feel like I can do this, there will be no gain from me making this, and I won't be able to give like effective, you know, tips and stuff. Disclaimer, I am not telling you how to cope. I am just giving some advice that has worked in the past for me in hopes that it might work for somebody else. Okay? We good? We good? I thought I'd just take you kind of through my process. This is kind of more vulnerable than I usually like to get, but I do want to document it in a very cathartic, I feel like it'd be quite a cathartic way. So I first experienced what is my generalized anxiety disorder, but I didn't know at the time. I first experienced that horrible sensation when I was 11 years old, and I remember it so vividly. We were on a trip to Scarborough. The trip went great. You know, before we went home, I stuffed my face with 2 sausage rolls. They were like massive sausage rolls. And I remember feeling sick on the way home, which I've had to have travel sickness before. It's not like that big of a deal. But for some reason, I could not fucking calm down. I just couldn't. Everything was just felt off. And I was so afraid. There was like this, it was a new kind of fear. It was like a horrible, nauseating, butterflies on fire kind of feeling. And I hated it. And I was so scared of it happening again that I was scared of the anxiety, which caused me to be anxious, which is, you'll know, a vicious cycle if you've ever had to deal with it. And from that point on, I've kind of just been living with it. And I'm obviously not gonna go into how bad it got, like, because it's very private, but at the same time, I never properly felt myself pushing back against it until the age of 20, which was 9 years later. And it had an impact on my education. I dropped out of college twice. I am now doing college now, getting a higher education access course diploma for my UCAS points for university. I've already secured a place at uni. It's great, on a good note, but it's taken me this long because of my anxiety and how I've been dealing with it. So I'm just going to start by saying that the one thing that nobody wants to hear, including me, when I was 13, 14, 15, I did the awful phrase, you have to want to help yourself. And you're probably thinking, of course I want to help myself. I'm not fucking enjoying myself, obviously. But at the same time, when you are feeling so anxious, trying feels like a fucking chore, because your version of trying is what everyone's day-to-day life is, and you just feel completely behind, and you do get into the rut of what's the point. But as soon as I started wanting things to change, they did. And I feel like mindset obviously has a lot to do with it, and you're probably thinking this is so generic. It's a long kind of process and finding what works for you, but it's so worth it in the end, trust me. My kind of anxiety was like travel anxiety. That was kind of the main thing that would set me off, and it made trips hard. It meant I missed out on a lot of stuff in my childhood and in, you know, later teen years. I mean, I remember I couldn't even go 30 minutes down the road, which was awful. I couldn't even go 5 minutes down the road for that matter, just because I was so scared of being out of control. And I think that pinpointing where it stems from isn't fun, but once you figure out how to regain control over that, it is an actual game changer. And instead of telling you, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, I'm just going to tell you what worked for me and the best advice I got through my therapy. It took me a while to find the right therapist, if I'm being completely honest. So on that note, I want to talk to you about the main points from my therapy that I have had. If you're curious, it was cognitive behavioral therapy, kind of known as CBT. It's kind of like trying to rewire your way of thinking in a sense. So yeah, I'm not going to keep this advice to myself because it's what helped me the most. So I'm going to just get on with it. So the best piece of advice I ever got was just let it happen. Don't fight it, just let it happen. And at first I was like, but that doesn't make any sense. I don't want to feel anxious, obviously. But actually there was a point to it, and it freakishly works. Just to put it into context, imagine if I was anxious about a 2-hour car journey because obviously I felt out of control. If I'm sat in the car and I start feeling anxious and start fighting it, that is me making myself more anxious, if that makes any sense. So I am feeling anxious because I'm anxious, and that is what propels the circle on. If you sit there, this is a lot harder when you first try and do it, but adapting to it, it gets easier and easier. You sit there and you say to yourself, it's okay, I'm feeling anxious. I felt anxious before. It cannot last forever. That is kind of the logic you need to pull into your brain. Physically, the body cannot stay anxious forever, okay? And it plateaus. It kind of showed as a graph in some of my sessions. So your anxiety can do this. Eventually, it's got to come down. Everything that goes up comes down. Think about it like gravity. So it'll plateau, go up, come down. Yeah, it might plateau again, but it will always come down. And eventually, the bumps get lower and lower because the more you fight it, the more uneven it's going to be, if that makes any sense. I'm trying to explain this in the best way possible. I'm not professional. I'm trying. So it's like, it'll be really scary at first, but then it'll go down. I remember I had a whole trip once where it was constantly just like this. It never settled because I was fighting it the whole time. This is really great video I watched once where it kind of described anxiety as like this little monster that you're carrying around with you all the time, because you are going to carry it around. That's one thing I need to tell you right now. It's not like a cold. There's no cure for it, as unfortunate as that is, because fight or flight is something that is in everyone. In the end, you have to learn to live with it, and that's kind of the key goal. The goal isn't to get rid of it, because that's not realistically going to happen, unfortunately. So you kind of just have to learn to live with it, which I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I have done that, and I am constantly doing that. And there will always be setbacks. It's not as simple as, oh, I've learned to live with it now. I'm great. I will never feel anxious again in my entire life. It just means that you have the toolkit to cope with it. The more you fight it, the worse it gets. And it's true, because I have experienced it. If you panic about panicking, you will literally just get in your own head, and it's awful. Trust me, I know. I'm not going to delve into like the different kinds of medication because that is not my area of expertise, but I can tell you about some of the other ways I have been able to make my life a little bit more easy when it comes to dealing with it. So one thing that I do, and this is going to sound freaking stupid, but it works for me, so whatever. You know in Inside Out, they're like little voices in your head. Basically, I imagine that my anxiety is kind of looks like the one from Inside Out. I mean, I was already doing this before Inside Out 2 came out, so it was a great movie for me to watch. Very eye-opening and healing. Thank you, Pixar. I kind of imagine it as a little person in your head who is just as scared as you are, you need to talk them down. Talk to them like they are just a scared kid. Like if you had a little brother or a little sister or a kid or a little cousin, whatever, who was scared of something that's quite irrational, because a lot of the time with anxiety, we are just anxious for either no reason or it's just an irrational fear and it just doesn't make any sense. Imagine you've got a little sister who is afraid of the monster under the bed. You would kind of go, it's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of. I'll leave the light on, it's fine. You've kind of just got to talk them down. So you need to talk down yourself. And if it takes it doing it out loud, do it out loud. I've done it all the time. Sometimes I'm just laid in bed and anxiety will just flare up for no reason. And I will literally try and imagine this emotion in my head being just as scared as I am and talking them down, like anxiety, get in your chair, get your cup of tea. Everything's going to be fine. You are safe. You are in your room. There's nothing to be afraid of. And the more you do that, the calmer you kind of become. And it's oddly therapeutic because you are being kind to yourself, which everybody talks about it. But when it comes to anxiety, nobody thinks, oh, that's going to help. Because sometimes people don't even know how to be kind to themselves because you're like, that is a broad spectrum of things I can do to be nice to myself. But that's the one that seemed to have worked for me. But yeah, and obviously there are so many YouTube videos with guided meditations. Again, meditating's not for everybody, but it is definitely for me. I find it so comforting, especially when I can't sleep. Sleep meditations, depression meditations, OCD meditations, anxiety, and so many things, and definitely ones for anxiety all over. There are some great channels. You literally just have to type in anxiety meditation or anxiety guided meditation. I prefer the guided ones because it's someone else kind of calming me down as I'm trying to talk myself down as well. It makes me feel like I have more control when I use those. So I definitely recommend that. There are apps. I've heard that there's useful apps, but I haven't used them. And sometimes even just finding a familiar and calming scent is really good. And it's something that's so little but can help so much. Like for me, lavender is a natural calming scent, and I have this lavender pillow spray, and it's just really nice to just take that everywhere as kind of just a comfort thing. This calms people down. This is known to calm people down, and even if you just put in the placebo effect on yourself, it's nice just to have it there. Wearing a lucky charm to make you feel more comfortable, or bringing a stuffed animal on a journey if you're scared in the car. Works for me. I literally take my stuffed animals everywhere. The point of this whole thing is breaking the cycle, the dreaded circle that you end up running yourself round, constant cycle of anxiety, by not fighting it. That's how you break the cycle. That is all I can say about that. By talking yourself down, catching yourself in the moment before you shoot up into an oblivion of panic. And even if you can't catch yourself, just let your body do what it has to do and let it realize that there is nothing to be afraid of, because it will. I promise you, it will realize that there is nothing to be afraid of. And even if it starts doing this a bit more, like I said, the waves will get lower and lower, and then you just kind of get into the groove of it. It's very much an adapting thing. I wish someone had kind of given me the advice of just let it happen, because oddly, it helped quite a bit. At first, I was like, how the heck am I supposed to do that? But what they do in CBT is they kind of set tasks for you every week. So it'd be like, okay, get in the car for 1 minute, or, just get in the car. You don't even have to drive anywhere. So it's taking small tasks at a time, adapting your body, kind of like you're doing by talking yourself down or letting it happen, just accepting that it's always going to be there. You can witness it without making it a big ball of hell that you can't get rid of, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that's kind of the main advice I have for that. The after effects of CBT were amazing. I know therapy's not for everybody, and finding the right therapist is the key to all of this. Genuinely, If you have a therapist that you don't connect with, it's not gonna work, okay? I've been through so many of them, so I know what I'm talking about. You know, it's best to ask advice from maybe your doctor or someone about this. Again, I'm not an expert. I can only go off what I've been through. I remember leaving therapy and being kind of scared at first, but then realizing that I'd built up this whole toolkit to cope with what was going on. And you've kind of got to build your own rucksack in a way of things that help you, and taking time for yourself is obviously really important for everybody, but especially if you're dealing with a mental health issue that you feel like is taking over your life, it is so important to remember to just love yourself, okay? It's hard, I know, but I hope that some of that advice can help in some way. I never thought I'd be talking about my anxiety on this channel. It's just something I kind of always avoided, not because I was embarrassed or anything, just because it's not really the most fun to talk about. I don't know how many of you are long-time viewers. Probably not many, because I used to have an old vlog channel. I can guarantee every single travel vlog from those channels, I cut out so many bad moments. I will rewatch those videos and see like a shot I've done from the car window thinking, oh, I wasn't okay when I took that shot. Or I'll see like a moment where I'm laughing with my sister and thought, oh my God, 2 minutes earlier, I was freaking out and begging to go home. And obviously the internet's not going to know that because I'm not going to show them, because nobody wants to watch that. And I frankly didn't want to document it. It's kind of like you see the bare minimum, especially on life on social media. So it's very easy for someone's life to look perfect, looks great. Like when I'm filming a study video, what you don't see is when I want to slam my head into the desk because I'm bored. Not everybody is productive 24/7, even though social media might make it look that way. I'm not. I have an assignment that's due in 3 days and I am barely finished and I'm on an extension, okay? I will only film a study with me when I'm feeling like it's going to be a good session, it's going to be a good day. You would not catch me filming me going, I can't be asked, I cannot be bothered, because nobody wants to film those things. So it is easy to think, oh my God, I'm behind everybody else, I suck, I fail, I'm awful, because you're consuming so much media, okay, which does have a massive impact on how you see yourself, because you're like, look at all these people, on the grind, doing the shit, and you're like, I'm here, doing nothing. All it is that you're just being shown a small window that they can edit and put out there, which is what I do. It's what a lot of people do, because it's entertainment. If you're vlogging your day, you're not going to whip out a camera when you start having a breakdown. That's not how it works. I remember talking to one of my old friends once where I told them that they said they used to watch my videos and they were like, oh my God, you were so productive. I was like, I totally want to be like you. I was like, oh, you have no idea what was going on in those videos, did you? And they were like so shocked when I told them, no, I was in such a bad place. And they were like, you would not have guessed. I'm like, obviously not, because we all want to appear put together and great and awesome and life is fine. It's not. I don't think, like, everybody has their shit to deal with. Everybody. Sometimes high expectations of social media is such a shit feeling when you feel like you can't live up to this image that people have all the time. Everybody's different. And some people can cope with things better than other people, hence why there are different mental health issues, and some people have to go on medication for it because it helps them with their symptoms, or some people find that therapy's okay without that, or some people just find that a good cup of tea and a meditation can brighten their day. So honestly, just take it one day at a time. Another really good tip about timing, just take every hour as it is. Like, after 1 hour's over, you're like, okay, that's gone. If it was a shit hour, that's gone. If it was a good hour, try and hang on to that. Try and hang on to that feeling, because it can definitely help. So taking it like 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time, even 1 minute at a time. Like, I remember when I was at a really low point, I would listen to The Next Right Thing from Frozen 2, and I would feel this oddly cathartic surge of, I can fucking do this. And music is another one. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have a playlist for like every single feeling or emotion ever. A lot of them including Taylor Swift. Having the songs that make you feel alive and like yourself and completely speak to you, another great one. Make yourself playlists for anything and everything, because honestly, it's good to just have it there as like a little safety net. Like, I can just put my headphones on and deal with this. Also, I would recommend getting noise cancelling headphones. Mine are the Power Locus ones. I think I got them from Amazon. Well, I had an old pair, but they were actually breaking from how much I was using them. So I got these for Christmas. Thanks, Mum. Noise cancelling headphones I would suggest. I used to put earphones on when I was anxious in the car, but then I realised that it was a lot harder to ground myself when I did that. So I coped better without them, but a lot of people do cope better with them. So if you think that you might want those, I'd definitely say it's something to get. That is another thing. Oh my God, I almost forgot to mention, how have I almost forgot to mention this? There is a grounding technique that my therapist taught me that I think is quite well known, so I don't think this is anything universally changing, but it was for me. It's where I think you've like got to kind of get in touch with all the senses, because when you get anxious, it kind of does feel like you are being lifted out of your body and everything just feels like whoa. So I think you've got to name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste, I think. And I found myself doing that so much, especially after therapy ended, and it kind of just brought me back from the whole whirlwind of it. It didn't fix everything, but it made me in more of a okay place to kind of go, okay, gotta let my body do this. It's all very mix-matchy and everyone copes differently, like I said, but it's just finding those things that works for you. And I hope I've given enough options for some people maybe to try if they want to check it out. But yeah, I think that is everything. I'm trying to think if I've missed something. I probably have, knowing me. I literally went into this video blind. Like I made like a few notes, but other than that, I'm just rambling. I'm rambling. And I called me a rambler. I didn't want this video to go on for too long because I didn't want to kind of over-explain everything. I think you all got it. I think we're good. Yeah, I think that's a wrap-up of episode 1 of Sirius's Cozy Corner. Very heavy topic for the cozy, but a topic that I think needs to be discussed nonetheless, because we've all got our shit to deal with, and this is mine and a lot of other people's, and it feels wrong for me not to kind of pass on advice that I've been given that has genuinely helped me pull myself out of some shit. Anyway, stay awesome, stay iconic, everybody, and I will see you when I see you, which could be any time considering how my commitment's gone, but I really have enjoyed this and I want to do more videos like this. So if you want to see that, please tell me. Feel free to subscribe. If you want more of the Cozy Corner will be changing soon because I'll be moving into uni, but it will still be a corner and it will be cozy, I promise. I will see you in my next video. Bye!